Three. So what do I do, Barrel? Do I just go play 5M? What? Okay. Well, guess I don't know what to do.
Hello ladies and gents, it's EZScape, and what you just witnessed was a hacker killing Michael during FriendlyBaron's Trevor % speedrun of Grand Theft Auto 5. But wait, if they were in the middle of a speedrun, how did they get hacked? This is because by default the game is always connected to the internet. On October 18th, modders had access to a private mod menu, which was able to abuse admin-only features including admin kick, network kick, spawn vehicles, ragdoll, and kill players. Since a lot of speedrunners for the game usually play connected to the internet, since there really isn't a straightforward way to turn it off, they were made targets by trolls watching their stream. Luckily, this exploit wasn't used on anybody during the end of a run on world record pace. That would have been awful, but it's definitely something that could have happened. I thought this was kind of lame that all the hackers could do was instant kill people, instead of doing something like spawning yourself into the game and hunting the speedrunners down. Honestly, that would have been hilarious, and if I was a speedrunner during that, I wouldn't have even cared. That just sounds like so much fun. Imagine if this was possible in something like Smash during an all-events speedrun, and some netplay fox just starts running you down and you have to force stalk him as quickly as possible just to stay on pace. As for the aftermath of this glitch, Rockstar patched the exploit within 24 hours, and it wasn't able to be abused again. I'm not really sure the extent on how many people were affected by it, but there were 2 other runners that this happened to, and here are their clips.
Agent Dave Norton, white middle-aged divorcee, unremarkable career except for one incident, the shooting of a notorious.
How did Michael die?
You wouldn't believe this, Ron.
Yeah, exactly, Randa, but if I want to do online stuff and all that, I'll have to do... What? What? The fuck was that? What the hell? That's time lost now. I'm not doing anything, I'm literally pressing no buttons. Xbox 360. He did it again! What? I don't know what to tell you, man. I've definitely lost time here. I've never seen a bug like this in my life. What a shit way to lose time. But what was it? What could have caused it? There is no button that can let you... Guy being in my way is not good. That guy wasn't in my way, would have made it out the door. Just as I got back up, it hit me again.
Nothing wrong. Hey, look, let's make this quick. I got shit to do.
What the fuck?
You need to slow it down. Tanisha was right.
Oh.
All right, shit.
Someone modded my game.
Trucks at the Davis Sheriff.
So I feel like this incident opens the door for discussing the current issues in modern day speedrunning, because this isn't something that would ever be possible in retro gaming. The only issues that ever arise in retro gaming is obtaining the fastest version of the game in console, and that's pretty much it. You never have to worry about updates or developers adding DLC which can only affect a speedrun, and you certainly don't have to worry about hackers killing you while you play. For example, I personally speedrun several different minigames and challenges in Super Smash Bros. 4, and you can already bet that I'm looking forward to do the same when Smash Ultimate comes out. But when it does come out, I'll most likely be buying a physical and digital copy of the game. That way I'll have the fastest loading times possible since it's digitally downloaded, but if an update happens which makes the game slower to run, I would have to revert back to version 1.0, and the only way to do that is by completely resetting the Nintendo Switch and playing off that physical copy. Luckily now there is Nintendo Switch Online, so I can save my progress from other games, but this is still a huge hindrance, since we have to include all versions of the game since they are all official releases. I feel like this is best portrayed when looking at the Super Mario Odyssey leaderboards. Not only are their leaderboards split by the current and legacy versions of the game, but even if you check the copy of the game each runner uses, some are using physical copies, some are using digital, and some are loading from SD, which all have different loading times, which kinda sucks. Because unless you had the hindsight to continue playing version 1.0 in the event that a new skip was found which would only be possible in that version, for the record this actually did end up happening, then everyone else is playing at a forced disadvantage since they can no longer obtain the digital version. This hasn't affected the leaderboards too much since digital only saves 12 seconds, but this may not be the case for other games. Like for example, Dark Souls. I was hoping to get somebody to play this game for my Donating Casual Streamer series, but I soon realized how difficult that would actually be since they no longer officially sell the version of the game that people run any percent on. So if I really wanted to get somebody to run it, I'd have to buy them a $30 key off of a third-party site, but what happens when those keys run out? Something I've really never understood is why do game developers patch glitches in their games that don't affect casual play? Wait a second, that doesn't sound right. I mean, if a developer finds out about a glitch in their game, shouldn't they fix it? Obviously this is up to the developer, but I don't like to think of glitches as something that's inherently negative. There are plenty of glitches that you could consider to be happy accidents. In the wise words of Miyamoto, when he was asked about the -1 world in Super Mario Bros., he said it's not like it crashes a game, so it's really kind of a feature too. And this is coming from one of the greatest game developers on the planet. Super Mario Odyssey gets a write-off here since they did introduce Luigi's Balloon World, and if they kept things the way they were, well, let's just hope little Timmy knows how to wall clip. Cuphead had the weapon swap exploit, which allowed you to switch between weapons rapidly to fire shots from both guns at the same time, greatly increasing your DPS. This was extremely difficult, and I don't even think people during their casual playthrough would even do it if they knew about it, but regardless, it was patched out. But why? All it did was rewarded the more skilled players and affected literally nobody else unless they knew about the glitch and mastered it on their first playthrough. Luckily on Steam it's still possible to download the legacy version, so this really isn't that controversial. In fact, for most PC games in some way, shape, or form have a method of obtaining legacy versions even if it does resort to piracy. But for speedrunners, patching isn't just about the game. Sometimes it just feels personal. I haven't really been able to think of a good way to explain this, so let me use two of my favorite indie platformers that I've played this year, Celeste and Hollow Knight, as an example. The developers for Celeste have been some of the most involved, or perhaps the most involved game developers in the speedrunning community. If you join the Celeste speedrunning Discord server, there are usually several developers online, and even a developer chat for speedrunners to discuss the game with them. They're usually very open about patching bugs, and they're usually quick to fix them, but they don't usually patch glitches which don't affect casual play. Not that the game has very many glitches anyways. In one case, the developers removed a set of spikes, which made a berry collecting strat non-possible. The community member buhbai didn't like this change, so he decided to go to the developer chat and asked if it could be reverted. The devs liked the idea of casual and speedrun strats being different, so they actually reverted the spikes back. I really like the fact that instead of the devs seeing this exploit as a flaw in their game, they just saw it as another way to play it, and really just a smart use of game mechanics, even if it was possible to be performed by accident. Anyways, I could go on for hours on all the great things Celeste devs have done for the community, but the main point here is that the Celeste developers have done a great job at making their game speedrunning friendly, and in doing so have made an extremely passionate and large community for their game. Now if we compare to the Hollow Knight developers, instead of them pandering to speedrunners, it seemed like they did the complete opposite, and when patching the game, they only seemed to target stuff that only affected speedrunners. I mean, during the glitchless Hollow Knight speedrun at AGDQ 2017, the developers actually donated during the run, and it seemed like they were actually interested in the speedrunning community around their game. But then came AGDQ 2018 with a no storage out of bounds speedrun of the game, which allowed pretty much all glitches except for map storage. This time, instead of donating during the run, they patched a lot of the glitches that were used in it, many of which no casual player would have ever found. I know that fixing glitches doesn't necessarily mean that a game's developers are actively trying to hurt the speedrunning community, but in this case, I feel differently because with the release of the game on Xbox One and PS4, they removed the speedrunning achievements for beating the game in 10 and 5 hours. Which means the Hollow Knight speedrunning community may have lost a lot of potential runners who may have gotten into running the game through those entry-level achievements. That and none of the people who are playing on the console are going to be able to do the glitch categories anyways, since they could only obtain the latest versions of the game. Only on Steam are you able to download legacy versions. A lot of these changes have resulted in Hollow Knight speedrunners moving on to other games like Celeste, whereas if the developers just gave a little bit more support to speedrunners, they could have probably seen a lot more success with people participating and watching speedruns of their game. Alright guys, that's all I have to talk about today. Sorry about topic hopping around this video, but when I saw these GTA 5 hacks, I instantly started to think about other games and all of the issues that are arising in modern day speedrunning. Although this topic is constantly evolving with every new speed game that comes out, and right now there really isn't enough to cover for an entire video on the topic, I think speedrunning and accessibility is something that might be more and more of an issue in the future, as well as hacks being more prevalent with more games and consoles choosing to always be connected to the internet. Anyways guys, let me know what you think about this stuff in the comment section below. Leave the video a like if you enjoyed it, as it's the best way to show support. I have speedrunning related merch available in the video's description if you want to check that out, but that's all I have to say. Subscribe for more speedrunning related content, and I hope you all have a beautiful life.
Oh my god!